So, just a bit of introductions. I am Martinus Smith. I am the head of Ocean Campus, and you'll be hearing throughout the course of this presentation words like Ocean Campus, Two Oceans Aquarium Foundation, and Two Oceans Aquarium. And just to simplify it completely, is the Two Oceans Aquarium was the original company. The Two Oceans Aquarium Foundation is the not-for-profit branch of the Two Oceans Aquarium, and the Ocean Campus is the umbrella branch of the Two Oceans Aquarium Foundation that holds all the educational offerings. So that's from early childhood development, so preschool, all the way through primary school, through high school, and then into university and adult education as well. Our Ocean Campus also has a productions team, and there is a little video that we have that shows some of the work that our production team does. Co-hosting alongside me is Mrs. Jamie Lee Springbok. Everyone in this meeting would have either received an email from myself or from Jamie. So Jamie Lee is the Marine Sciences Administrator. So whenever it comes to applications, enrollment, registering on our online platform, mark distribution, engaging with parents, engaging with schools, sending out venue preferences and sending out or distributing marks. Jamie is the person. She's also the person that holds the finances for Marine Sciences. So if there are any payment issues or if there are any payments that need to be made, Jamie Lee is the person to contact. So for that reason, I do have her email address here, and it will be towards the end of the presentation as well. Then for most of the individuals in this presentation, majority of the students and or adults are looking at joining at a grade 10 level, and our grade 10 Marine Sciences facilitator is Mrs. Whitney Samuels Hofmeister. Whitney's not here this evening, but she would be a primary contact person for any grade 10 content. She will also send out an introductory email to all parents and students once the curriculum officially starts. So what I want to show you is a simple clip that illustrates some of the career opportunities that can be found within marine sciences. And marine sciences does open not just formal career paths where you have to pursue a tertiary qualification, but it also opens career paths towards the more informal sector or into the tourism sector. And throughout the course of this presentation, I will, of course, expand on that. So if throughout the presentation you have any questions, please make use of the chat forum. And drop. So what you saw there was an promotional video produced by our Ocean Campus studios. And within that video, there were no paid actors. All of the individuals you saw there were are either staff members of the Two Oceans Aquarium and the Foundation or the Ocean Campus. And all the students that you saw there were marine science students. Most of them have matriculated, and the engagement that you saw there within our classrooms and within the aquarium are all parts of the curriculum that will be covered. And we showed a bit of the hands-on experience that we do with the students as well. So that's just a little bit of a taste or a taster as to what we do offer at the aquarium. Now, a brief, very brief history of marine sciences. We can't look at where we are at this stage without looking back a little bit. So in 2025, the aquarium celebrated its 30th birthday. We opened our doors on the 13th of November 1995 with record numbers. We still strive to reach those numbers that we reached in the beginning. And the mission of the Two Oceans Aquarium was and still remains to inspire action for the future well-being of our oceans. And from the very start, or the very first few months of the aquarium being opened, education played a very large role within the Two Oceans Aquarium and the waterfront space. And in fact, not majority, but quite a few of the staff members working at the aquarium, the foundation, or Ocean Campus are products of those early educational offerings that the Two Oceans Aquarium had. In 2001, we started to formalize our educational offerings through the Two Oceans Aquarium Marine Sciences Academy, which no longer exists. But for around 15 years, this TOA Marine Sciences Academy conducted several courses, conducted outreach within the Western Cape, the Northern Cape, and the Eastern Cape as well, even in KZN a little bit. And it reached hundreds of thousands of learners throughout the 15 years. As time progressed, we at the Two Oceans Aquarium felt that we wanted to do more. We wanted to create a resource that could be accessible to schools all over the country and that would give students a sense of accreditation. So where students can receive not just a certificate from the Aquarium Foundation or the Ocean Campus, but receive an acknowledgement of academic performance on their national senior certificate, and so that it could equip them to go and pursue various tertiary qualifications, perhaps with the aid of this qualification. And that is where the marine sciences curriculum started. It started as a very ambitious dream of two aquarium staff members, and they went through the tedious process of applying to the National Department of Basic Education, to say that we want to start the subject. And there was a person at DBE head office who thought this sounds appealing and gave the provisional approval for the formulation of a FET subject. So FET stands for Further Education and Training, and in simple terms, it's grade 10, 11, and 12. And throughout 3 years, the Two Oceans Aquarium staff members and the DBE officials went back and forth to develop this curriculum in a CAPS document, which was submitted to Umalusi in 2018. Now, Umalusi is the quality assurance body of South Africa. So they ensure that every subject and every matric paper that is written is of the highest standard. So if ever you look at a matric certificate that has been released post 2006, you'd see that the matric certificate is printed by DBE, or IEB, but it is approved by Umalusi. So Umalusi does not only govern the formal assessments, they govern the physical curriculum. And there was quite a bit of engagement that had to take place in 2018 in terms of strengthening the marine sciences curriculum before it could be implemented. And in that same year, the aquarium branched off into the Two Oceans Aquarium Foundation. So the foundation is quite a few years old. It's 8 years old, almost celebrating our 10th birthday in 2 years' time. And the foundation, or the not-for-profit portion of the aquarium, focuses on CARE, which is an acronym for conservation, awareness, rehabilitation, and one of our biggest branches would be education. So within our ocean campus and through the foundation, we reach around 120,000 learners annually from ECD to adult education. And in the marine sciences sphere, we wrote the curriculum, we published the curriculum, we provide training and support for marine sciences teachers and marine sciences students nationally. And the subject grew quite a bit. So we can see here that this was a 3-year process of getting the subject written, getting it approved, and then also possibly starting to teach the subject. Now, at the aquarium, we often do, and especially the staff members who started with this curriculum were very ambitious and they did not want grass to grow under their feet. So they started before the curriculum was formally approved, they started an informal pilot for the marine sciences FET curriculum at 3 schools: Gans by Academia, Simonstown High School, and South Peninsula High School. And all 3 of these schools still offer marine sciences as a subject. But these students, I think initially in 2019, there were around 25 students. They knew that they would complete 3 years of the curriculum without receiving recognition. So at this stage, Umalusi hasn't finally approved it, and the subject wasn't formally introduced into schools. But they wanted to learn about the ocean so desperately that they were able to, or willing to complete the curriculum without even receiving recognition. Towards the end of that year, the curriculum, the final portion of the approval process was done, where the curriculum was published in the Government Gazette for public to comment on and for experts to comment on. And we took that commentary and we applied it to the content and to the curriculum. And in January 2020, the first official pilot for marine sciences started in 4 schools. So, what that means, a pilot of a subject, is that this will then result in the subject being implemented as part of the school's timetable. Now, there were 4 schools that had the subject as part of their timetable from the 1st of January 2020, and that was Simonstown High School, it was Gans by Academia, it was Melkbos Strand High School, and it was Protea Heights Academy. And these schools also offer marine sciences full time. Once more, the staff at the aquarium who are very ambitious, wanted the growth of the subject to be quicker. So, whilst there were these few schools that started to implement the subject, with educators at that stage who weren't trained to teach marine sciences as a subject, in the background, the basis for an online version of the curriculum was being formulated. From the Two Oceans Aquarium Foundation side, we wanted the curriculum to be accessible to as many people as far and wide as possible. And that is why you are here this evening, because by some means, via social media, word of mouth, advertisements, you've heard of the marine sciences asynchronous or online curriculum that is offered by our Ocean campus. And we'll get there quite soon. So in 2021, those students who started with the Marine Sciences Club, after lots of negotiation with Umalusi and with DBE, we were able to get them to write the National Senior Certificate, so to write matric exams. They wouldn't have, and I think it was something like 2 months before the final matric exam started, they only received approval that they would actually be able to write this subject, because from a DBE side, examinators had to be appointed, moderators had to be appointed, assessments had to be set of a very high standard. And this being such a new or young subject meant that there were no exemplars. So there was no example that the examiners or the moderators could fall back on. And also for these students, at the end of the day, there were 12 students that wrote. They went and wrote marine sciences in November of 2021 without having a single practice paper. So there were no past papers. They were the test group, the guinea pigs, so to say. And we had a 100% pass rate back then because all 12 candidates passed. And at that stage, when they wrote, the curriculum wasn't even completely written. There were still 4 topics that had to be completed. So those students went through university, some of them, and one of them has started becoming more engaged back at the aquarium. And that's what we want. That's the objective of this curriculum. It is for students to become engaged, students to pursue possible career paths, and then hopefully come back and join us, not just at the aquarium, but in any environmental sector as potential colleagues. And it is nice to be able to see that cradle to career nurturing that happens. And that's what our Ocean Campus stands for, is to create inquiry, to create curiosity in students, equip them with knowledge, and then give them the ability to be curious, to apply the knowledge in real world scenarios, and then to think broader than simply their own context, but think holistically of our planet ocean. And that's referred to as ocean literacy principles, which we'll touch on later on. So just from 2022 up to recent, we had the curriculum finalized, and we had all the teachers nationally come together in Cape Town for the first Marine Sciences National Educator meeting. And by that time, we had around 22 educators from 5 provinces. So marine sciences is still offered in school. So that's as a seventh subject, a sixth or seventh subject, as part of the school's timetable at quite a few schools with around 22 educators in 5 provinces. So we have schools in the Northern Cape, Western Cape, Eastern Cape, KZN, and Gauteng. So all of those provinces have schools offering marine sciences full time, and we are continuously growing. When the Ocean Campus, or at that stage, it was still just the Two Oceans Aquarium Foundation. When our online node started, it was quite small. It started towards the end of COVID, and we had smaller groups initially just to wean out any of the potential issues that there might be. But by 2024, we had grade 10, 11, and 12 students. Representatives from around 100 schools nationally within South Africa's borders, and we had 105 students. In 2025, we had, by the end of 2025, 145 students from around 120 schools, not just in Southern Africa, but we've started spilling over into Namibia as well, with potential students from Mozambique and from Kenya as well. And there's also someone from the Seychelles that inquired. So we are growing beyond our initial scope. Where our numbers are for 2026, that we don't know yet, because we've been receiving applications continuously. But the nice thing about having an online curriculum is that we, in the sense, don't have a cap to the amount of students that we can allow. So that's our objective, is to allow as many students who are in schools that don't offer marine sciences full time to be able to take marine sciences via the Two Oceans Aquarium. Foundations Ocean Campus as an online node. So we have students from the IEB sector, which is for, as broad strokes, would be the private school sector, from the DBE sector or the government school sector. We also have students from various international schools, as well as from Sakai, which broad stroke once more would be the homeschooling body of South Africa. Just to show you the growth in numbers. So this is only looking at the grade 12 candidates who wrote in a particular year. You can see from 2021 up to 2025, there has been quite a bit of exponential growth with a slight plateau in 2024, 2025. And the reasoning for that is that for marine sciences, there is a shortage of qualified educators to be able to teach marine sciences specifically. So there are several universities who we engage with who have rewritten educational degrees or added postgraduate certificates in education to their menu of potential courses for individuals wanting to teach marine sciences to be able to be qualified to teach marine sciences. And some of those students have graduated at the end of 2025. So there is an additional 7 qualified teachers nationally, which is exciting. And as their pilot programs run through and there are more educators qualified to teach the subject, we'll most likely see an exponential growth once more as these educators are being appointed. Right. So what is marine sciences? I've already given a little bit of it. Marine sciences is a subject that's quite different to your conventional subject. So if we take a subject, I don't want to highlight any FET subject, but if we look at a grade 8 and 9 subject, if we take natural sciences as an example, generally, depending on the school, each year has a set amount of themes. There are 4 themes. It would be life and living, it could be matter and materials, it could be chemistry and planet Earth and beyond. So in grade 7, 8, and 9, the final term or term 4 would be planet Earth and beyond. So the previous year is the foundation for the next year, which gives the scaffolding for the year thereafter. So that's how conventional subjects are conducted. Marine sciences is conducted in a different way. We have written the curriculum to run similar to what you would find a university course, where there is a first year, a second year, and a third year. The content doesn't repeat. The themes are intertwined because it is an interdisciplinary subject which builds a holistic understanding of our ocean. So there is a scaffolding period in grade 10, which focuses on vocabulary, scientific concepts, and quite a few of broad core concepts relating to the ocean and the environment. And then once we progress to grade 11 and grade 12, what we will see is more application and a broader approach to more Southern African specific examples. So the curriculum is written as a 3-year course and it is written by South African individuals for a Southern African context. That doesn't mean that whatever knowledge we impart within the students can't be applied to international scenarios. And we do often have guest speakers from all over the world when we give students exposure. We also have case studies and relevant examples that we find globally. So we do share that with the students as well, because it does allow them a broader scope, not just looking at their particular community, but looking at planet ocean holistically. It also teaches students, or facilitators, in fact, do that. They teach students how to study, because what we found is we often sit with grade 11 and 12 students who do not know how to study. So in grade 10, we focus on writing skills, we focus on study methodology, and grade 10 we basically use as a year just to build vocabulary, to learn, to play, to make mistakes, and to rectify those mistakes for grade 11 and grade 12. Our goal isn't to have a student that passes with a distinction. Our goal is to have a student who passes can take the information that they have received or the skills that they have been equipped with and apply that in a real world scenario. And it's wonderful to say that in speaking with colleagues at CPUT, where quite a few of our students go to study marine sciences at a tertiary level, they can clearly see a difference in the students who have taken marine sciences versus the students who have not taken marine sciences but are studying marine sciences at a tertiary level. Whilst the curriculum was written, we also engaged with university professionals and professors and stakeholders, and we asked them, what are the problems? What are the areas that should be mitigated in first year and second year students that you feel in high school education the foundation can be built or the foundation can be laid? And we've taken that and we've applied that to the curriculum. So in post alumni or post matric surveys that we've sent to students, what we found is that students who have completed marine sciences, especially through the aquarium, they transition into university level work and into university methodologies easier than students who don't complete the curriculum. And we've got data for that. Getting to marine sciences, there are four strands to the curriculum, and these four strands are intertwined, but for simplification purposes, we split them during the course of the 3 years just to allow students a bit of diversity and for them to gain experience in different fields. So the first two, which for the DBE papers, so this would be the government schools, makes up paper one, would be oceanography and human impact on the ocean. Now, there are around 42, 43 topics that will be covered between these two, but to simplify them quite a bit, oceanography is simplified as the chemistry, physics, and geography relating to the ocean. So you can see there in the borders a bit of the themes that will be unpacked. One of the first questions we generally get from students is, why is the ocean salty? And it's not something we generally think about, but it is something that is taught in oceanography. How do ocean currents work? Where do waves come from? How do waves change size? How are they sometimes larger, sometimes smaller? Also looking at questions as to why sometimes does the ocean water appear blue or sometimes green or sometimes brown? Why is the visibility of the ocean water along the west coast sometimes not as great as it is along the east coast? Why is the east coast warm and the west coast cold? Why is the water harder along the west coast and why does it feel softer along the east coast? These are questions that generally come up, and it's content that's covered throughout the oceanography strand. Oceanography makes up around 30% of the entire syllabus. And then human impact on the ocean makes up about 20% of the syllabus. And that's the focus on human impact on the ocean is more in grade 11 and grade 12. Here we often touch on sensitive or controversial topics like overfishing or marine protected areas. Should local people living in a marine protected area or close to a marine protected area use the ocean to catch food for their families, or should they not be allowed? Should we harvest diamonds along the west coast, or should we harvest sediment from the ocean to build buildings instead of harvesting sand from elsewhere? Why do we focus on solar energy and wind farm or wind energy, but we aren't harvesting energy from the ocean? So these themes are themes that we teach students, but we also give them the opportunity to give their opinion, even if their opinion differs from the text. What I love about the subject is that students are able to give their opinion as long as it is substantiated. And the main focus isn't necessarily whether the student's opinion is valid or invalid. The focus is on how they substantiate the opinion. So as long as they are able to give logical, substantiated, relevant reasoning, it would be deemed as correct. Obviously, if they say that something absurd, that the water in the ocean is salty because I cooked pasta and threw my pasta water in the ocean, and that's why the ocean became salty, that something like that wouldn't necessarily be deemed as factually correct, but we guide students to be able to give yes, no, or I don't agree opinions whilst they are substantiated. So in the DBE setting, there is a bit of a difference between DBE and IB when it comes to marine sciences. That's how it was in 2025. I'm pretty sure it will be the same in 2026. So for DBE, what you're seeing on the screen currently is deemed as paper one. For IB, what you're seeing on the screen now is deemed as paper one. So for DBE, ecology and marine biology, which is the final strand, that will be paper two. For IB, marine biology is on its own, but that separation happens when it comes to the assessments, and there's very clear and effective communication about that. So the next strand would be ecology. It also makes up about 20% of the content. And here we focus on living organisms, the environments that they live in, and how they interact with these environments. So we look at various ocean ecosystems, from rocky shores to mangroves to sandy beaches and the spaces between sand particles, the open ocean, and the infratidal zone as well, and the upper littoral zone. We also look at sand dunes and everything in between. So we look at the deep ocean, we look at mid-ocean, and we look at the surface level of the ocean as well. So there is quite a lot that we look at there. And then the strand that a lot of people do love quite a bit is marine biology. Marine biology makes up around 30% of the overall curriculum, and it covers evolutionary development, it covers life processes, it covers genetics, which is quite exciting. We've linked with a university where students are able to gain practical lab experience in the field of marine genetics or maritime genetics. And then we also look at various organisms. So from plants to algae, we look at viruses and bacteria, which you find within the ocean and estuaries. And then we look at organisms, everything from sea sponges to jellyfish, to sea stars, all the way up to the marine mammals, which we end off. And that, of course, would be the mammalia in terms of whales and sea lions and a few other organisms in between. All of this is purely from a Southern African perspective. Sometimes we do look at the Antarctic region. We will look at neighboring continents as well, or neighboring ocean basins. But there could be global examples as well that we do look at. The irony is that throughout the 7 years that I've been involved with marine sciences, I haven't had a single student starting in grade 10 wanting to either go into ecology and marine biology. But looking at university students and post-matric students, I haven't had one student who went to university to study marine biology. Quite a few students go into human impact or oceanography, with quite a bit also looking at ecology. So one day, hopefully, we'll get a marine biologist. I think the closest that we got to a marine biologist would be someone going to study veterinary sciences to be able to become a vet eventually, and then wanting to focus on reptiles, so looking at sea turtles. So all of this focuses on the ocean literacy principles, and this would be the core of our ocean campus, is to be able to instill these 7 principles in every lesson that is conducted. And I'm not going to work through these lessons, but this is the core of ocean literacy, not just within South Africa or Southern Africa or Africa, but globally. These principles are principles that are referred to in most aquaria and in most environmental education centers relating to the ocean. And this is what we want students from our side at the Ocean Campus to also to be able to comprehend and then live out. Not just have the ability to recall copious amounts of interesting facts from the subject, because that the subject does teach that to you as well. It equips you to be very well at ocean trivia, but to have an understanding and a shift in the way that they live and in the communities where they live, so that people can become more ocean centric. And that doesn't mean for you to be ocean centric, you have to be close to the ocean. We have some students studying marine sciences in the Free State and in the Northwest Province, where there are rivers that eventually flow into the ocean, and in their communities, they were able to spread awareness as to the pollutants that end up in the rivers also eventually end up in the ocean and can affect ocean life. So we see this shift, knowing that our ocean's not just the coastal space, but our ocean actually starts where the water source that feeds into the ocean starts, and that's within the inland parts of South Africa. Now, looking at online learning systems and asynchronous learning. So from the Ocean Campus side, our curriculum is asynchronous. Asynchronous means that it is run according to a simpler schedule that fits into the scheduling of a particular learner or of a student. The curriculum's a bit more adaptable. The curriculum is majority online, and it also means that there isn't physical lessons that happens on a daily basis. So if we look at a mainstream school, a student would have their selected subjects, they would have a timetable. The timetable might change from day to day or week to week. They might have period 1 Afrikaans, period 2 English, period 3 mathematics, period 4 marine sciences. That's not how our system works. Our system works on a 4-term schedule where students will have set dates for assessments. So the assessment dates are finalized. If you are accepted into the curriculum, you'll receive your entire year's assessment dates by the end of January. And then students have until their assessment day to ensure that they have caught up with the content that is covered within the particular assessment. With that, we know that if all the content would be given to a student, it can become overwhelming. So for that reason, we work on a scaffolded approach. So the content is released on the basis that on a weekly basis for a student to be able to access the content of a particular week. There might be a set of prerequisite content or videos or PDFs that they have to work through to be able to progress to that. And that's all loaded on an online platform called Thinkific. I'll show you the interface quite soon. Thinkific is our home base, and it's linked to Beryllium and to a community chat or community communications network for students to engage with one another, for students to engage with their facilitator, with the administrators, for resources to be shared. Beryllium is a self-assessment portal. So that is, along with each topic that's covered, there will be informal assessments, meaning it does not count marks. It doesn't contribute to the SPA marks or to the report card at all. It's just purely to test their knowledge, to test their vocabulary, to determine whether they have understood the topic that has been presented. And then, of course, the email addresses. Email is for everyone at Ocean Campus, the primary form of communication. So for parents, for guardians, for students, for administrators, and of course, for educators or facilitators, email is the best way to communicate. And then also we do expose and equip learners. So as I said, we teach them different study methods. We show them how to apply the study methods. We guide them through various study method types. And then we give exposure in terms of practical exposure, potential career exposure, but also exposure to professionals working in the field. We'll often have online webinars where students can engage with various professionals studying everything from plankton to ocean currents to southern right whale migrations between South Africa and the South Pole, people working at the South African Weather Services, people working in ecotourism, people working with MPAs in communities all over the country or at various aquaria to show students how the content that they're learning can be applied in real world scenarios and to give them a realistic view of potential career paths. So we don't really ask students in grade 10 what they want to become because we know by the end of grade 10, with the amount of exposure that they get, they might change and most likely will change their career path quite quickly. So looking at Thinkific, progressing into that, there are, as I said, 85 topics from grade 10 to grade 12. And although 85 topics sounds like a lot, if we break it down into more familiar vocabulary, we would say that marine sciences has got 4 modules. So that's oceanography, marine biology, human impact on the ocean, and ecology. And between these 4 modules from grade 10 to grade 12, there are 85 units that needs to be completed. But we run them chronologically for most of the time from topic 1 to topic 85 from grade 10 to grade 12. Each topic, the topic that I'm showing you now is, or this screenshot of the topic is the orientation to marine sciences. All the content, all those 85 topics are presented to learners in a PDF form. So there's no additional textbook. There are some recommended reading materials, but there's no textbook for the learners to work through. It starts with the core concept, and those are the core portions of the content that learners need to be able to comprehend by the end of the topic. At the end of each topic, there is the following screen, which is Test Your Knowledge. We also call it TYK, and this is a section for self-assessment. There are no memos to this section because when students engage with the tutorial or during the tutorial, when they engage with the facilitator will work with the students' answers and go through the responses. So very often from year to year, the answers to some of these questions could differ in terms of how students interpret the content. It's also an ever-changing subject. So because all the content's in PDF form, as soon as there are new case studies or relevant information, we update the content as well. So that ensures that the subject remains as relevant and as up-to-date as possible. Looking at the Thinkific student view, as soon as a student is accepted, the deposit is paid, and they've registered onto Thinkific. Jamie Lee helps with that. This is what they will see. They'll receive the welcome message, and it gives them access to the CAPS document, which all the assessment information is in. It's quite a long document, so you don't have to read through it, but you can access it as you wish. The relevant information we would share with students. It shows you what year and what grade you're in. So for this particular screenshot, it was 2024, grade 10, year 1. If you are a grade 11 student here, it would say grade 11, year 2. And then for grade 12, it would say grade 12, year 3. Shows the course because on this platform we have multiple courses, but the student will only have access to the course that they have applied for. It does give a little status bar to show the student how far they have progressed with the year's content. That status bar reflects to the facilitator and administrator, so we can monitor on our side how a student is progressing. If they are falling behind, we can reach out to the parents, the student, and the guardian to ensure that the work is caught up. It also gives them access to the community forum. This exact chat will follow them from grade 10 to grade 11 to grade 12. So all questions, all resources, all communication will remain on this chat forum for the 3 years, and it is monitored by the grade facilitator, of course. Once they've worked through the entire tab, they'll go to the bottom where it says complete and continue. If they would click on that, the 0% complete would go to a certain percentage complete, and it will progress to the next lesson. So the next lesson is a little bit more complicated, and I haven't done topic 1 because in theory I'm doing topic 1 with you now. Topic 2 is South African marine ecosystems. If you look to the left side of the screen, you'll see there are various bullets with various documents. If we go from the top, the first two would be the physical content that's been consolidated, so it's only in a PDF form, and that is what we're seeing on the right side. So that's the core concept. Students can work through this content. Then the next red circle that we're seeing, or the third bullet from the top, shows the marine sciences ecosystem video. And this is how students gain the knowledge or gain the content or are taught the content in a audio and visual way. So all the lessons are pre-recorded, loaded onto Thinkific. You'll see that this video is 36 minutes, so they do vary. If the topics go longer than 30 minutes, we try and split them into smaller segments. And you'll also note that it is a prerequisite, meaning a student needs to work through the video to be able to progress to the next portion. So the next portion in this case would have been the slides. So those are the same slides that's used in the video. Students often print out the slides to be able to make notes about the video on the slides. And then it goes to your test your knowledge, which is the beryllium that I spoke about. It's also a prerequisite, and there's often I think a 40% pass rate. Most of those would be single word answers or multiple choice. It's just there to ensure that they have worked through the knowledge or through the content. And then at the bottom, what we're seeing is the tutorial sessions. So as we're starting to come in towards the end of this presentation, for every topic that is presented, there will be a tutorial, which is a live tutorial. It's conducted via Zoom. And it goes anywhere from 45 minutes to an hour long. And if the student's not able to attend the live session, then they will be able to access the recording. We do ask students to try and prioritize attending the tutorial session, because that's the one opportunity where you can speak with your facilitator, you can speak to your peers, you can ask questions, you can get enrichment, and you can get support. What we do want to emphasize is that the tutorial isn't reteaching the content, it is building or supporting on the content. So in those tutorial sessions, often announcements would be made or relevant information would be shared. The facilitator could go through past papers. They could provide a mini webinar. So they might have a guest speaker who does a cameo on the particular topic or theme that's being spoken about. There might be additional resources that could be shared. So once a student has completed all of this, then they'll be able to progress to the next topic, which would be topic 3. So this does work on a dripping schedule. So every week, content is released, and a student basically has a week to work through the content up to the point where the tutorial will happen. And if we look at the release and recording dates for the release dates and the tutorial dates. So for grade 10 and grade 11, they are different. For the grade 10s, the tutorial sessions happen on every Tuesday, except during the school holidays, and except if there is a public holiday that is a Tuesday or a special school holiday. The tutorials happen on Tuesdays from 4:30 until 5:30, and then the next content or the new content will be released the next Wednesday. So that means that they basically have a week to work through the content. Then the Tuesday, there is a tutorial on that content, and the next Wednesday or the next day, they receive the new topic, or they will be able to gain access to the new topic. For the grade 11s or grade 11 representatives here, the dates are different. The tutorial sessions would be the same time, but it is conducted on a Wednesday, and the new content is released on a Thursday. The schedule of content release for the entire year will be forwarded to parents, guardians, and students. It will also be accessible on Thinkific. So just to go back, same Thinkific platform that we see, there will also be an information tab. And that's basically where you get the Zoom link for the tutorials. It's the same link for the whole year, where you'll get all contact information for the facilitators. We will receive the exam dates and the exam scopes as well, or assessment dates and assessment scopes, where there would be exposure days or excursions that might happen. Those dates and logistics will also be communicated on this platform. Only students have got access to this platform, and for that reason, we will email the information to the parents as well to ensure that everyone is on the same page. Now, as we go over into the time for questions, there is a QR code on the screen. If you want more information on marine sciences, or you want to access the frequently asked questions portion of our website, scanning this QR code will take you exactly to the marine science portion of our Ocean Campus website. And then Jamie Lee's information still here, and Whitney's information is also there if you want to take a screen grab of that. I want to stop